background, or you know what to do. You've listened before. Or as I usually say, you can look at my beautiful face. So, for the last 3 weeks, basically all of November, I've been out of the country, and I've been in London. I've been in Budapest, Hungary, and then I've been also a little bit in Iceland as well. I'll kind of go into how those trips went, why I went where I went, and what it was like there. There's also, stick around because there's also a huge kind of thing that happened where I wasn't able to go to a certain location because there was a state of emergency. So I'll get into that later on when we get there chronologically, but I went to London literally on November 2nd. London, the UK from Los Angeles, and that it was such a long flight. I think it's around, I had like a 4-hour layover. I basically spent all day flying because I left in the morning in LA, and I got in London the next morning. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I went up to Calgary, Canada, for a layover, and there's snow on the ground, which is crazy. And yeah, flying for that long is tiring. I think it was around 5 hours up to Calgary, Canada, and that's 8 hours from Canada to London. And the jet lag is insane. Have you ever been super jet lagged? If you have, let me know in the comments. This is probably one of the harder jet lags I've had. I've been very lucky in the fact that I've gotten to travel a very good amount in my childhood and growing up. Very, very lucky in that sense. But going from the west coast of America to London is around, oh gosh, what is it? It's 6 hours from, it's around a 9-hour difference. A 9-hour difference. So basically, morning is night and night is morning. I went to London because one of my best friends from college lives there, and he actually is going to be leaving London to go back to where we met and where we went to school, which was New York City in the spring. So I thought it was going to be very fun to kind of go see him while I could. And I love London. It was a good excuse to kind of get out of your daily living, and I love traveling. I think it's very important to do because it really puts everything in perspective for you. For me, at least, in the sense that do you ever get this feeling that your life, where you live right now, what you do, sometimes it can feel very monotonous and the same, and this is kind of why we do intentions every Sunday, to kind of break that. But if you're doing the same thing every day for weeks on end, you begin to think that that's what life is, and in fairness, that is life because that's what you're doing, right? But when you travel, you break all your routines and you kind of get shocked back into this world of basically, there's no place like where I live. People talk differently, cultures differently, that because, in London they drive on the left side, not the right side. And if you ever need a trick for, if you're ever scared driving internationally, just remember that the wheel is always at the center of the road. So you got that. That's a little nugget of information for you. That the wheel should be always at the center, so when we drive in America, we drive on the right side, but we're in the left seat. And we're always in the middle of the road. That's the same. Hiccups. That's the same with England, London, United Kingdom. They drive on the left side, but their seat is on the right side, so they are in the middle. But just food for thought if you ever, have to drive internationally and you're afraid, just remember that the wheel is always in the center of the road, and it will always ground you, and it will make it easy to drive. So I went there to see a friend. I also went there because I did a short film, and we had a premiere there. I shot a short film on this channel. You can see it if you go way back in these videos. That's when I started this channel a year ago. It was in the middle of me making my short film. And we premiered it in London, which was very cool. So I went to that festival, and it was very fun. I also apologize if I don't have headphones in, but I can hear kind of my neighbors. So if you can hear them, I'm sorry. I hope it's still relaxing. But the festival was very cool. I don't know if you've ever been to a film festival, but I never really have been to a few. Like, very luckily, I've been to some that I've acted in, and actually this year I've been to one I acted in, and I got to go one I directed in, which was very, very awesome. Basically how it works is there's a block for short films. They call it a block, and that basically means that there's a 2 hour, it's like 2 hour or however long they separate the times. It could be like an hour block or 2 hour block. They will then be like, okay, you're in this block. So I was from like the 10 to noon block, and there was like 7 other short films, and they just play all of them in like a string. So I think Flowers, my short film, was second to last, so I played after a ton of short films, but it's interesting because they all play kind of as if it's one big movie, which is really interesting. So that was very cool. I've never seen my film on the big screen, so that was very cool. And I got to go with my friend from college and another really good friend who, it was very, very nice for them to come. It was very funny because my best friend from college, he's straight, and this was a queer event, an LGBTQ event, and my best friend from college is very stoic, very, very like straight-edged, not like manly guy, but like kind of like uses emotions inside and stuff, and which was very like, it's funny, we're opposites, but it's a good quality. I mean, it's always good to be emotional, right? But sometimes it's good to be a backbone as well. But it was just funny sitting there with him, and then my other friend and her wife. They're gay at this like gay festival. It's very, a lot of the films, they're all gay and queer, which is cool. I mean, I love it, right? That's what I made my art about. But a lot of it was, some of it's rated R, so it's very like raunchy, and if you've ever seen queer cinema, you know a lot of it stems from this this idea that there's an eroticism to homosexuality. There's this Romeo and Juliet dichotomy that's going on in almost every film, can't be together, but they love each other. And a lot of breaking out of stigmas. It was, sometimes starking the audience with really intense imagery and graphics and nudity, and it's supposed to give a whoa factor, right? And I think a lot of artists do that because they're trying to break the mold of what gay and queer love is like. A lot of them created their art based off of what they believe queer love is, which I totally agree right now. It's very hyper-sexualized, very hookup orientated, not very into emotional relationships on the outside. I mean, it doesn't matter your orientation, but how deep down, I'm guessing you really want an intimate relationship, right? I do too, finding that person that you connect with really, really well, and I think we all want that, straight, gay, bi, whatever you are. But it's interesting because in my life right now, I'm 27, no, I'm 26, I'm gonna be turning 27 in like 2 months, 26, and everyone in life, heteronormative life, and kind of queer stuff too, but everyone is in relationships, is falling in love, getting married. Heteronormative relationships in society, because the majority of people are straight, so our society kind of leans more towards that being the default, right? So I don't know if you feel that, but main default for heteronormative love is emotional connection. It's that intimacy, that, monogamy, and that is the first layer. Hookup or culture is not very, I wouldn't say accepted in heteronormative society. It happens, but it's always accepted in the aftermath of like, oh well, you'll do that so you can get married and have kids, right? That's what I think. And gay and queer culture is the opposite, in the fact that it is expected that's supposed to be erotic and charged with perversion or whatever, and it's not always the case. I mean, it's a way that you enter the world. For instance, like with, I don't know, whatever relationships, maybe you enter those relationships coming from a first viewpoint of like, oh, I'm gonna try to find the love of my life, and then maybe if you're straight, but maybe you eventually realize, oh, I don't fall into the monogamy lifestyle, right? But you first start off with that lens. That's the gay lens. Also, is that you start off with like, okay, this could be a hookup, and then you gotta need to go search for your love. Most of the films in this film festival stemmed from that lens, the lens of what it is when you first join, how people view it. Very, very sexual, very charged, very erotic, and that's very true. But it was funny because that was that case, and then my short film is almost the complete opposite. My film is very innocent. It takes place in high school. It's about two boys who kind of like fall in love, and they figure out what their idea of love is. There's no eroticism in it, and it's intentional because it's supposed to be the innocence of love, and whether that is realistic or not is not the case, but it was more kind of creating a love story that I think a lot of queer people want to see more of. I know I wish I saw more of that. I've always been very, oh, it's really cool hooking up, it's really cool being, attracted and curious and open and, exploratory. But at the end of the day, I always wanted to see those love stories where it's, it doesn't necessarily end in them not being together. It's basically a flip of heteronormative love, in a sense. So it has realism, it's its own thing, but it was just funny seeing it compared and going after like really intense, dark material, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun. The festival, they actually made cocktails, like 4 cocktails, but they named some of them after short films, and Flowers was one of them that they made. So we got free cocktails. Me and my friends from Flowers, and a really cool thing you guys do is the program, the pamphlet, the front of it. I'll wave my hands. Maybe I'll try and like put it in. But in the pamphlet, the front of it was stills from Flowers. So out of all these short films and feature films, because feature films were later, Flowers was like the front of it, which is really cool. The films were all international. I think there was only like 2 US ones in my block. They had some from Turkey, they had some from Italy, they had some from the UK, from I think Saudi Arabia. It was so cool being international, and then it was cool. And then I think I was the only filmmaker actually there watching it, so we did an interview after, so I went all the way up to the front and they videotaped it, and they asked me questions about the film, which was very fun, because who doesn't love talking about their art? And yeah, most of the questions were really good. It was like, what's your inspiration and all this, and I got stumped on some. I need to get better at like knowing main directors and stuff, but it was really good. They were talking about like why Flowers. They were talking about one of our questions was like, they were like, I noticed your innocence in this film. Was that intentional or not? The lightheartedness of the film. Yeah, and it was intentional. It was very interesting watching it with really dark material back and forth. And I got interviewed later too, people asking, which I thought was odd at first, and I'll tell you why, but people asked, I got interviewed on the red carpet too, which is cool, and they asked, why is LGBT content films so important now more than ever? They were putting on this emphasis that, it's still really needed in the world, and I, at first, to be honest with you, because we're just honest on this channel, I'm not perfect, but I was at first like, yeah, it's important, but it's like not that important. Like, I created this because it's where my heart is coming from, but, there is a lot of queer art on Netflix and Hulu. Like, there's a lot, more than ever. So I felt like I kind of bogus that, but, well, I didn't bogus it. I think that it's, like, when you watch my short film, it comes from a place where I feel like it's exposing and illuminating something that I think is very important for queer youth and anyone in general. It's the main idea of the whole film is that in order for people to love you, or for you to love people, you need to show your differences. It's not about fitting in, it's about standing out. That's kind of what it's about. Not being afraid to stand out alone, to, shine and blossom into your own flower. So for me, classic from the US, I answered those, and I answered it kind of just like I answered you about the short film, but then I ended up going to Budapest, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And if you don't know, Budapest is in Hungary. It used to be part of the Iron Curtain, part of Russia, the Soviet Union, and it was, they have very strict LGBTQ rights. They you know, kicked out someone, one of the heads of the museums for putting up gay art. Pride there isn't a celebration, it's an actual protest. They don't get the rights of being married. I think there's a lot of things, and I wish I could spell it out more for you. Feel free to check it out, but we went to Budapest and it reminded me that unfortunately gay rights, queer rights, human rights are not available everywhere. And it really brought home why those questions were being asked at the festival, because when you go somewhere that's not fully, you know, liberal, not the West, you know, not the US or the UK, you'll begin to realize that some of the world is still like that. So yeah, I'll do a little, let me talk about Budapest. I'll give you a little kind of like filler how we got there. So we did the festival, and then I stayed with my friend. His sister was there, and just so you know something, this friend of mine is like a brother to me. He's from New Zealand, and when we were at school, because he lives so far away, he would come to Thanksgiving with my family every year, so he became family. And it was cool that I finally got to meet his sister, and we hung out and stuff. She was staying with us, or him, and I was also staying with him, crashing. And just really good people. My friend works in finance. He works basically every day, barely has the weekend off, but because of that, I was there for 3 weeks, and one weekend we were just like, let's go do a trip. And I'm going to talk about the state of emergency in a second, so stay still, because we were planning on initially going somewhere else at the end of my trip, which I'll talk about in a sec. But I'm sorry about the music. Hope it doesn't stay for too long. But I was I think on Thursday Wednesday we were like, hey, do we want to go somewhere this weekend? And I was like, yeah, let's go. Do you want to do Rome or Budapest or whatnot? And sorry, it's so loud outside. Do we want to do Budapest or whatnot? And on Thursday we booked our tickets for Budapest, and then Friday we went, and we were there for the weekend, and it was nice. My friend had off, so we hung out. We basically got in. It's a huge party city, so we went to like some bars and clubs. They had some really good pizza, and then we went to bed at an Airbnb. That was our first night. We got in at like 10 p.m. and then we went exploring the night district and stuff, got some drinks. It was so fun. It was basically like bars galore and so many different types of ages of people, and everyone's just having a really good time. And so we did that, went to bed, and then the next day we went to a bathhouse, which was so cool. Have you ever been to a bathhouse? Because I haven't, and I love baths. And this was so cool. It was basically this huge tub outside. We went to the very famous one in Budapest. I forget what it's called, but if you look up like bathhouse in Budapest, you'll see they had 2 hot tubs at the end of this really main pool, and one hot tub, they're like really big. One was filled with this like green water that had like things floating in it, and then the other one was like chlorine. Both were really hot. The second one was chlorine, and it had a whirlpool in it. And inside, it was so cool. Like, you would walk in the whirlpool and it would swirl you around. And there were like fountains in each one, so like water could be dumped on you. And it was raining a lot. We got there at 12. I was gonna do a massage. The massages there are really, really cheap and really, really good. I think it was around like $50, but they were fully booked, sadly. You know me, I'm training for a marathon, so like oh my god, y'all, I want to get my muscles rubbed out. That's all I want. Maybe soon. But like I was saying with my friend, he's very go all the time, I think, very strung up at work, and so I didn't know how long we were going to stay at this bathhouse. We really didn't have any plans for the day. It was bathhouse, and then it was like, we're going to walk around, and then we had a cruise later that I'll tell you about in a sec. But we had those dual, so it was raining in this bathhouse, so it was outside raining, so you would get out of the hot tub, and then you had to shimmy your way, like, let's say, like 25 feet over to the other side, because it was like a hot tub, and then it was like a lap pool, and then it was another hot tub. So you get freezing cold. And it was cool on the outsides of the hot tub. There was like a moat, a small moat, like literally a foot deep, even that you would walk in and basically like douse out your feet off of like cold water, and you would then go into the pools. So that was cool. It was really, really cold, and I do remember us really running from like hot tub to hot tub, and it was just so much fun because it ended up being, we were there for 2 hours, which was a really, really long time. And like, you never really think you're gonna stay in a hot tub for like 2 hours, but my favorite thing about it all was the fact that it was kind of like a communal space. I don't know if you live in the US, but from where I'm from, we kind of live very like individualistic lives. Everything's very centered around, doing it by yourself, being alone. It's weird if you would, go to a hot tub with a lot of different people and like bathe for like 2 hours. It's just not in our culture. I mean, we do have bathhouses, but I've never been, and although we never really talked to any of them, there was something really, really special about being around a lot of people in a communal space. It just felt good. It kind of reminded me how I felt when I went back home for Thanksgiving. I was back home in the East Coast of the US, and being around family, around people that know you from your past, you can just like let down your guard, and there's so much peace and comfort in being around people that you just feel accepted around. You feel seen, and although we were all strangers in this bathhouse, there was something really nice about being around everyone. So I highly encourage to go to Budapest and go to this bathhouse. We were there for 2 hours. It was cool. Like, we did pay like maybe 2 extra. I'm forgetting their currency. Maybe like it was like 2 extra like euros basically to. They don't do euros in Budapest. They do something else. To get our like own changing rooms, so we did that. And how the bathhouse works is they give you a wristband, and that unlocks everything for you. And it was just so freezing cold, and I don't know if I already said, but it was crazy. The green pool, like there's just 2 hot tubs. The one with the green. That was green. That was like a little hotter. That had stuff floating around, made our bodies feel numb afterwards, which was just like really, really crazy. It felt really good though. I don't know what it was in there, but it's cool because they were both from like natural springs, so hot springs. And stick around because I'm going to talk about what our state of emergency was, but we did that. It was raining. We got out. Then we went to get lunch. My friend got a Hungarian sausage. I got a fried like cheese thing that had with tartar sauce, and it was very good. It was raining, and it was nice. We just kind of like walked around. We walked by a castle. We got mulled wine, which if you don't know what mulled wine is. It's just like heated up wine. It was really good with some fruits. We were drinking that, walking around. We went to a museum, and it was there that my friend told me about the ruler of, I said this earlier, but of Budapest, basically, firing. Was it that? Or maybe he told me, or I think, maybe I looked it up later, but it was oops, sorry for that noise. It was at another museum, but the curator basically got fired for showing gay art. And it was just very sad to be around, but anyways, our fair was beautiful. We did that, and we were wasting time basically because at night we had a unlimited Prosecco cruise down the Danube River. So we go on this cruise. It's like an hour and a half, and it's just bottomless Prosecco. We got some food as well. We got the ticket for it. Came with like some naan bread with some really awesome dips, and yeah, we just got really drunk. And it was a glass boat, and we saw all the buildings on the river all lit up, and it was beautiful. And we actually made friends at the end. Like, me and my friend were sitting for the entire time, but then at the end, these girls come from the top, and they are like, "Oh, where do we sit?" Because apparently they were outside the entire time, and they motioned to our table right next to us, and I was tipsy enough, and I was like, "Come join us," and they did, and then we all became friends. That's how it happens. Whenever it's traveling to a new place, I feel like it's so much easier to make friends. And we had a great time. They were from Scotland, and they were actually around our age, which was fun. And we left them. Then we went out to the party district, and we actually ended up going clubbing with them, which was very fun. Me and my friend did karaoke. The best thing about the nightlife in Budapest, it's a huge party city, is that it's not pretentious. It's not pretentious at all. I feel like in LA, everyone looks, you have to be very elevated in style and everything. In Budapest, at least where I was, I guess it's very touristy, but it was so many different types of people. Everyone was just having a good time, singing, dancing, and it was just really, really awesome to be around. We went clubbing with the girls, and I swear it is so insane. I've never really been to like a techno club. I guess I just never have. I didn't realize until I went there, but I associate that with like gay clubs. So if you've ever been to a gay club, there's always like that house music and the like flashing lights and like all of that stuff, the music. They had that at Budapest. That's where the club we went to, and it's very fun. It was like 2-3 floors, very busy. But it was all straight people, and I was like, I feel like it's gay, but it's not. And yeah, the thing with Budapest, which is interesting, is although their government's like right-wing and very, gay people have a lot of rights, there is a lot of like queer clubs and people, so they do exist. It's just like they are still protesting for their rights, which is unfortunate that we still have to do that. Yeah, it was fun. We went out, and we went home at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and what's crazy is like we felt like we could have stayed out for more hours. No one was stopping, and we got pizza. We went home and we slept, and then we woke up at 10 a.m. We got kicked out of our Airbnb, and we spent the next day on Sunday. It was so sunny. We were walking around, hungover, looking at churches, looking at castles. The architecture in Budapest is amazing. There are like these castles with like these really cool deco tiles on the roofs I've never seen before. So beautiful. And me and my friend hungover walked everywhere. kind of miserable because we were so hungover. We're getting older, and you know, you feel it more in your body. And but it was so fun. We went to a church, and we got to like see the beautiful architecture, and very cool. And then we made our way to the airport. It was really funny because where our Airbnb was, like, we were like, oh, we're gonna take an hour to get to the airport, like through trains, and then we looked something up randomly, and I was like, oh, actually, you can take a bus right across the street that goes directly to the airport. That is a lot cheaper, a lot faster, and oh, the bus is there right now. So we walked over, got on the bus, and then we were like at the airport so much earlier than we thought. We got on the plane. I literally fell asleep in the airport. I was so like emotionally distraught and tired. I don't know about you, but I realize like when you're tired and hungry and hungover, it does not mix well. I was getting so like sad and depressed, and it's because I was just tired. Sometimes we gotta remember that when you're tired, you're gonna feel like the world's ending or there's something wrong. It's literally like you need to sleep and eat, you know, like babies and kids. We do that as adults too, so just remember that, okay? When you're not fed and taken care of, you're gonna be cranky. So we got back to London, and then we spent that next week in London. This is where the emergency state thing comes in, ready? I had one more week, and well, actually I'll just say I had one more week. The nice thing about being in London for so long was I got so bored. That week I actually spent some time in the apartment, and I didn't leave all the time. I obviously did like the touristy things you guys saw on the community tab. I did that. You know, I saw things back in London before. But it was so awesome to kind of, you know, I was there long enough that I got to decompress and really like relax into London and just rest. And there's something so nice about being able to rest somewhere that's not where you're from right now, because I don't know about you, but I get very like, you know, if wherever you are right now, if you're stressed or distraught, sometimes it's more to travel somewhere new and decompress there so you can kind of get a new view on life. If you can, you know, I know that's not everyone can do that. I'm not rich by any means. I'm very tight on money, but luckily my job allowed me to kind of like take some time off. Me and my friend we had planned this all the way since before going to London. We were gonna go that next weekend to Iceland. Me and my friend were both gonna come back to the US for Thanksgiving initially. My friend, and we were gonna do a layover in Iceland and turn that into like a 4-day thing. So go to Iceland, hang out for 4 days, and then fly to the US together for Thanksgiving. He'd go with his wife, I'd go home. He's in the process of getting a green card, and he actually decided it was best not to go to the US. So, it's because, you know, the paperwork is going through, and if he gets stopped at the border and they deny him access, it can actually hinder his progress with his green card. So he's like, I'm just gonna wait, you know, a couple more months. I don't want to risk that. So we were still gonna go to Iceland anyways. But then that week in London, I don't know if you heard, but Iceland, a volcano in Iceland started to show signs that it was about to erupt. Iceland had 3,000 earthquakes in a day. Roads were broken down, and Iceland went to a state of emergency that week. So we think about this, we get back from Budapest, and my friend's parents sent him an article about Iceland. We keep eyes on it, and then it goes into a state of emergency 4 days before we were supposed to go there. And get this, we had booked everything. We had booked an Airbnb, we had booked the Blue Lagoon, which is like a spring. We booked those tickets, we had planned everything, and we got a refund thankfully on our Airbnb and our Blue Lagoon tickets. But yeah, we were supposed Iceland, and I was so excited. But there was a volcano that was about to erupt, and the reason, obviously, so Iceland actually has had a couple volcanic eruptions, but the reason why they're so, I don't know if they always go into a state of emergency, maybe they do, but 10 years ago, I don't know if you remember, there was an Icelandic eruption that actually, there's so much ash in the sky that it stopped flights from all over Europe for like a month. I don't know if you remember that, but that's what people were really afraid of. That's what my family and I were afraid of. We didn't want to get stuck in Iceland, which is really expensive, and miss the holidays for who knows how long. So we kept our eyes on it, but things didn't look better, and we eventually decided not to go that weekend, which was a bummer. I know, I was so excited. But we actually stayed in London, and we hung out. We saw the new Hunger Games movie. We met some deer. It was awesome. We got like English tea. It was a good weekend, but I was very excited for Iceland. And get this, the thing is, the volcano was getting worse, and I still had my layover in Iceland to go to the US. So although we weren't going to stay there longer, I had moved my flights so that I'd still do a layover in Iceland. And and it was crazy because the night before my flight had actually got moved up, and I had to get a whole new flight. My layover got messed up, and so I was like up at 1 a.m. about to go to bed. I get this notification that my flight from Iceland to the east coast of the US was pushed up like 3 hours because of a windstorm. I was going to make that from flying to London, so I had to book a flight at 1 a.m. to basically leave at 7 a.m. I barely got any sleep, and then I just spent the whole day. I flew to Iceland. I made it. I stayed there for 4 hours. There was no one really in the airport. All the other flights were basically canceled. People thought the eruption was going to happen very soon, if not then, and it starts hailing like ice outside. So there's this huge windstorm and hail coming from the sky, and long story short, I make it onto the plane. They basically don't have any time to clean the plane. They basically get on, we're about to fly, we take off into the windstorm, and we make it out alive. And I did all these travels on a really small suitcase, so carry on, and I stuffed everything in there for 3 weeks, and I'm proud I made it through. And then I went back to the East Coast. I had a lovely Thanksgiving with family, and some friends for a week, and then I came home today. I think you're actually going to see this a day after I came home, so I hope you found this relaxing. Let me know if you have any questions about like the trip or anything. Let me know in the comments down below. I can always do like kind of more of a ramble, but this kind of turned really long, so those are kind of my travels and everything, and hopefully I'll be getting back more on this video schedule on this channel. Let me know if you have any recommendations for any videos you guys want to see. Consider joining our membership program. It's really cool. This channel is like very fun, and you guys get a sense of my life, but if you really want more intimate access, click that join button. We're kind of creating a more intimate collective down there, where it's kind of gonna be like a cheer group. Like we're all gonna be like cheering on for each other. I really want the Hive, which is the membership program, to be a place where like you and I can really root for each other. There'll be special videos that only you guys will get access, members will get access to, and we'll create a Discord and stuff, and just kind of like a collection of really good people that want to just grow and be good people and stuff. So check it out. It's the price of a coffee, literally the price of a coffee, and it means the world to me. It supports me in so many ways you have no idea, and just means a lot. So even if you just want to support, check that out. It's also cool because you can grow your own bee, which is our mascot. So that's also a really cool plus. So your name is going to be a bee growing as well. I hope you're doing very well. Take care, my friend, and I will see you very, very soon, okay?